You guys are always asking me which interior designer books are worth buying. Over the past few years, I've encountered a whole bunch of different interior design books. But to be completely honest with you, there are just a few that are my absolute favorite ones, and they are the ones that I keep going back to. In today's video, I want to share with you my favorite interior design books so far, and if any book gets added to this list, I'll make sure to make a part 2 of this video. But for now, I want to share with you which are the books that I keep on my shelf and the ones that I would recommend for interior designers and interior design students. Let's get right into it. Number 10 on my list is Architectural Graphics by Francis D. K. Ching. So it's this one right here. I have the 6th edition of this book, and I got this book when I was just starting my career in interior design. And I basically knew nothing about interior design whatsoever. So this book really helped me to understand some very important concepts that are part of the interior design career. So this book covers the very basics of drafting techniques and hand drawing techniques. So it is ideal for beginners and people who are just starting a career in interior design. Guys, this book tells you all about drawing tools and materials, such as technical pens, fountain pens, triangles, templates, graphite pencils, etc. And it even has recommendations on how to hold a pencil for a better drawing technique. Another thing that I love about this book is that it explains perspective drawing techniques and also axonometric drawings in a very simple and straightforward way. Overall, I really like the graphics and how the content is organized. So it is definitely a book that I would recommend to all beginner interior designers out there. Number 9 on my list is Fundamentals of Lighting by Susan M. Winship, and I do have the 3rd edition of this book. I recently made a video about lighting for interior design, and some of the concepts that I mentioned, I actually learned them by reading this book. Guys, this book is super complete on lighting, and although it is quite technical, it has a bunch of good information regarding lighting and illumination for interior spaces. And really what I love about this book is that it contains a lot of information that I personally did not learn in school, but I realized that it was information that I needed to know down the road. And some designers are so passionate about lighting that they decide to specialize on this branch of interior design. So if you're one of those, then this book is definitely a must. So number 8 goes to this book called Color Plus Design: Transforming Interior Spaces by Ron Reed. This book is for you if you want to better understand the effects of color and the impacts of color in interior spaces. Color, guys, is such an important element in interior design, and once you learn how to work with it, you can really create some magic within spaces. I love this book not only because it has an extensive explanation of how color impacts interior spaces, but it also addresses the historical background of color and how different cultures use color in different parts of the world. It also talks about the interaction and the correlation between color and other elements of interior design, which I think is such an important thing to know, because when you are designing spaces, you're not only working with color, but there's actually 6 more elements that are involved in the interior design process. So being able to mix and match color with other elements of interior design is very important. So anyway, guys, I really think that this book is super interesting if you want to learn more about the power of color and how to use it correctly. Okay guys, so moving on to number 7, we have this book called Shaping Interior Spaces by Roberto G. Rangel. So I was recently introduced to this book in my design theory class at school. I've read some chapters of this book already, and they have been super helpful for my projects, and overall for the interior design process. I am still discovering this book, but I am loving it so far because it explains how people interact with spaces, and it gives you a very good explanation of the reasoning behind some interior design decisions when it comes to working with the element of space. I think this book is specifically very unique because I hadn't encountered any other book that is similar to this one. So I think that's why I find it very interesting, and I would recommend you guys to check it out. Okay, so number 6 goes to this book that is called Interior Design Materials and Specifications by Lisa Gutley. This book I also recently discovered because I had a class which was materials and specifications for interior design, and we were required to purchase this book. And interestingly enough, this book is the one that I've spent most of my time reading while I was in school this past semester. We actually had to learn a whole bunch of information regarding surfacing interior design materials. So this book was very, very handy because it has all the information you need to know about interior design materials. A lot of the times, guys, when you are having classes at school, they really won't have enough time to give lectures on all of these materials because there's just so many materials in interior design that it's something that sometimes you have to self-learn. So getting these books with all the information where you can keep going back to it is super important. Overall, I think that this book covers most, if not all, of the interior design materials that designers use and should know about. So it's a book that I definitely recommend to all designers. Next book on my list is International Building Codes and Guidelines for Interior Design by Lisa Tucker. The reason I love this book is because there are not many books like this one. And if there is, please let me know because I haven't found them. So guys, building codes is such an important aspect of the interior design career, and it is something that as interior designers, we should be very familiar with. It's something that not everyone knows that we have to deal with and we have to know and we have to work with. But the reality is that a lot of the design decisions will be guided by building codes. So this book is great for everyone who is trying to better understand the theory and the foundation behind building codes and regulations for interior design and interior architecture. Number 4 will go to the Complete Sketchup Companion for Interior Design by Andrew Brody. I do not have the physical copy of this book. I actually get online access through Fairchild Books for Interior Design, which is a website, and I have access through my university. But I am sure you can purchase this book online, and I would recommend you get the online version because you will get access to some very good videos where they explain you some very important tools of SketchUp. Now, although this book has been great for me, I had already learned SketchUp before I was introduced to this book. So I'm not really sure how this book would be for anyone who has never worked with SketchUp in the past. Either this book or any book that tells you about the basics of SketchUp would be super helpful for you guys. And I am saying this because I really believe that SketchUp is one of the most useful softwares for interior designers. So as long as you get a book that explains some of the important things that you should know if you are learning SketchUp, I think that's actually more important. Number 3 on my list is a book that is one of my absolute favorite ones, and that is Construction Drawings and Details for Interiors. This book, guys, it's a gem. Seriously, I love this book. It is great for learning about construction documentation and construction drawings for interior design. This is something that you might learn at your university, but some universities won't actually take the time to thoroughly explain how to create construction drawings. So I think this book is really great for everyone who is wanting to understand how to interpret construction drawings correctly for builders and for the tradespeople who are actually going to be taking responsibility of the project. Some of the key topics that this book contains that I absolutely love are drawing and drafting fundamentals, fire and safety plans. It talks about elevations, how to create sections, floor plans, reflected ceiling plan, construction plan, demolition plan. It's such a complete book. And if I had to choose out of all the books to get, probably it would be this one, because it is so complete and it has so much information on how to actually create a set of construction documentation drawings. Number 2 on my list is this very famous book that most interior designers will already have, and it is called Human Dimension and Interior Space by Julius Panero. And this book, guys, it's so good, but you have to learn how to read through it because it has a lot of extra information that you would probably do not need. But then it has a lot of information that is very useful and that you will need on a daily basis as an interior designer. This book gives you a number of dimensions and clearances that are very important to know when you are designing spaces. It has all the information for residential spaces, for office spaces, for eating and drinking spaces, healthcare, for public spaces, for leisure and recreational spaces. So it's a very good book, and it is very interesting and very, very useful for creating construction drawings and for complying to building codes when it comes to all the dimensions that you have to respect when you are designing. And number 1 goes to this other very famous book, which is called Residential Interior Design, A Guide to Planning Spaces by Maureen Minton and Courtney Newston. This book is number 1 on my list because it's the one that I've used the most throughout my whole career. It's a super complete book regarding residential interior spaces. It gives you also all the clearances and dimensions of all the types of furniture that you need for residential interior design. And it also gives you a bit of information about construction drawings. So this book is a must if you are interested in residential interior design, and I will definitely recommend this book to anyone who is studying or who is practicing interior design. Okay guys, so those were my favorite books of all times for interior design. I am constantly learning about new books and discovering new books, but so far these are the ones that I keep on my shelf for now, at least. If there's anything that gets added to this list, I will make sure to make another video, because I think that having the right books is so important if you are learning about this career, and especially because a lot of you guys are always asking me if you need to go to school for interior design or if you can self-learn this career. Although going to school is super useful, reading these books can be as useful. Believe me, a lot of the information that I know, I don't learn it from my classes, but I learn it by reading these books very carefully and spending the time to understand a lot of the concepts that are important to know as an interior designer. Guys, I hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much for watching. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next week. Bye bye.